Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to our virtual classroom. Today, we're having a fairly quick lesson, hopefully a short video. And ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to take out your physical notebook if you haven't done so already. Again, please take out your physical notebook. And as always, I'm going to give you, or rather, I'm going to pause this video while you copy down the heading. And so here's the heading. Please copy down this. Please pause the video at any point you need to copy something down. Sorry, it's a bit messy today, but today we are doing 1-3, multiplying decimals. This is our 8th lesson, and these are the numbers that we'll be doing on Schoology. Numbers 8, 9, numbers 13, just A and B, and then number 15 and number 17. Okay, assuming that you've already copied this down, let's go ahead and begin. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are multiplying decimals. Today we are multiplying decimals. Some of you guys already know how to do this. Some of you guys may know how to do this without the decimals, and you will find that it's actually a very similar process with one additional step at the very end. So here we have these two numbers. We have 1.8 times 2.35. That is 1 and 8/10 times 2 and 35/100. Now you'll notice a couple of things here. Firstly, these are not integers. They do have a decimal value. And not only are they not integers, but also they don't have the same number of digits. This first number, 1.8, only has 2 digits, the 1 in the ones place and the 8 in the tenths. Whereas this other number has a 2 in the ones place, a 3 in the tenths, and a 5 in the hundredths. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice that when you're multiplying decimals, it is different than when you're adding and subtracting because you don't have to line them up. You don't have to line up the place values. Rather, let's do this, what it says right here. We are going to write the factors. You can copy this down, pause the video if you need to. We need to write the factors, in other words, the numbers vertically, place the number with more digits on top. Technically, it doesn't matter which of these two numbers goes on top. Later, we're going to talk about how in multiplication, in addition for that matter, multiplication is commutative, which just means the order doesn't matter. But for the sake of simplicity, I always put the number with the most digits on top. Notice that I did not say the largest number, but in this case, yes, the largest number does happen to be the one with the most digits. And so we put 2 and 35/100 on top, and then 1.8 on the bottom. Notice how rather than lining up the decimals, I lined up the digits. I simply lined up the digits. As long as you can clearly see what number's on top of the other, we're going to work that way all the way down. Okay, now that we've lined them up, we're going to multiply the same way we would as if the decimal were not there. The same way we would as if the decimal is not there. Some of you guys may need a refresher on this, in which case I'll show you where you can watch a video for that. All right, so let's begin. So we're going to start with the number 8 right here. So we're going to use the 8 to multiply against all these. So 8 times 5 is 40. So that's 4, and then I would write a 0 down here. That's where that 0 came from. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 4 is 28. Here's where this 8 came from. And then 8 times 2 is 16. So plus 2, 16, that's 17, 18. So I write 18 down here because there's not another number to put a 1 over. And so, ladies and gentlemen, now I am done with this 8. I'm done with the 4. So now that I'm done with the 8, notice that I'm done with this column. So I'm going to put a 0 underneath here, and I'm going to continue with the 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. If I had another number right here, I would put another 0 down here because I'm still done with the 8. I would put another 0 down here because I'd be done with the 1, and then I would continue with the next number, but that is not the case here. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and add these numbers. So that's going to give me a 0. 8 plus 5 is 13. 8 plus 3 is 11, plus 1 is 12, and 2 plus 2 is 4. So I have these numbers here, 4230, 4230. Now, while these numbers are correct, ladies and gentlemen, while we multiplied correctly, now we must follow the third step, which is down here, where we must count the total number of decimal places for both factors. What does that mean? That means that the decimal is going to go wherever we're gonna jump from the right, however many spaces there are decimal places behind the decimal or to the right of the decimal. What does that mean? Well, right here we have 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal. We have a third number, so we have a total of 1, 2, 3 numbers to the right of the decimal. We have 3 numbers behind the decimal. That means that I need to have 3 numbers behind the decimal in my product, in my answer. So we have 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. So my final answer would be 4 and 230 thousandths, or 4 and 23 hundredths would be the same thing. I encourage you to rewatch that if you need to. Let's try another one. Notice how we have 4. Here, let me do a darker color. We have 4 and 27 hundredths times 1 and 3/10. Again, notice how instead of lining up the place values, I just lined up the digits from right to left. Let's go ahead and do this. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 2 is 6, 7, 8. 3 times 4 is 12. There we go. Notice that I am done with the 3. The 3 is done with. So I'm going to put a 0 underneath that column, indicating that I'm done with that. I'm going to continue with the 1. So 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. Now that I have all the numbers, I can add them together. And my final answer is going, well, not final answer, but it's going to be 1, 15. That's 5 and 5. So I have 5, 5, 5, 1. Now I have 1, 2, 3. So again, 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimals. So I expect to have 3 numbers behind the decimal over here. So my final answer would be 5 and 551 thousandths. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that should be enough practice. There is another practice that I had here on your notes, but why don't we practice with the problems in our actual textbook? Let us practice with the numbers in our actual textbook. So please go to OneNote. Go to 1-3. And while you're doing that, I'll just open it up here on my PDF. When you go to 1-3, we're going to scroll down to number 8, and we have this passage right here. That didn't help. I'm sorry, that actually made it worse. There we go. So scroll down to number 8. And number 8 has to do with this table up here, where we read that Amanda arrived at the grocery store. She finds that the actual prices of the items she needs are slightly different than those used in her estimate. So this girl, Amanda, I guess, had been estimating how much the price would be for each of these items. So we have the apples at $2.25 per pound, blueberries at $1.75 per pound, etc. Notice that the yogurt is per container, not per pound down here. We remember, I guess we were dealing with Amanda before, and some of the problems that we're not doing right now, that she needs 3.25 pounds of apples. All right. She needs 1.75 pounds of blueberries, 3.5 pounds of strawberries, and 1.2 pounds of kiwis, and 5 containers of yogurt. Ladies and gentlemen, oops, I see that I give you the answers all right there. I opened up the wrong version of the textbook. Give me 1 second. Okay. Give me 1 second. Unit 2. Actually, I'm just going to go to OneNote. I'm sorry. So yeah, so if you haven't opened up OneNote, I highly encourage you to do that right now. Sorry about this. But anyways, as you're going to see right now, all you have to do is take the price per pound or price per container and multiply that by however much you actually need, and multiply that by however much you actually need. And so waiting. We go to first 9 weeks work. My computer's moving really slow right now. First 9 weeks work, scroll down to 1-3, multiplying decimals. There we go. Waiting for it to load. But again, so all we need to do is multiply. Is it open yet? No, it's not open yet. I'm sorry, I'm having some really bad difficulties. I think I can just open it right here. Again, we're just going to multiply however much is the cost for each. There it is. We're just going to multiply however much the cost for each of the, there we go. The cost for each of the items here times the number of pounds that we actually need. All right, so for example, for the apples, we know the cost is 2.25 per pound, and we need 3.25 pounds. So that means that I need to multiply. So for 8A, this is 8A on Schoology. We're going to do, and it doesn't matter which goes on top because they have the same number of digits, 3.25 times 2.25. Right? Notice how your final answer, you're going to have 4 numbers behind the decimal place. Why don't we just do this first one together? Because we have 3 digits now. Okay, so we have 5 times 5, that's 25. 5 times 2 is 10, 11, 12. 5 times 3 is 15, 16. So I have a 1, 6, a 2, and a 5. Sorry if it doesn't look very nice. Let me use a different color now. So I'm done with the 5. So I put a 0 down here. Remember, this is a 2. Sorry. All right, let's move on. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. And I'm done not only with the 5, I'm also done here with the 2. So now let's move on to the final 2. We're here. 2 times 5 is 10 again. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and 2 times 3 is 6. I know it's kind of cramped down here, but now let me add these together. So 5 plus nothing is 5. I'm just going to put the answer over here. 2 plus nothing is 2. 6 plus 5 is 11. 6 plus 5 is 11, 12, 13. And 6 plus 1 is 7. So assuming that I did my math right, I have these numbers down here. We need 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers behind the decimal place. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks terrible. 7 and 3,125 10,000s seems like my answer. That would be my answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you would do the same for all of those right there. Make sure that you are multiplying correctly. Again, you're just multiplying the price per pound times how much you need for each one of those items. Pretty simple. Number 9, you would add them all up. Of course, you just have to make sure that you multiplied everything correctly. On number 13, you're just multiplying them both ways with one number on top. Yeah, you should see that they're actually multiplying the same 2 numbers, just trying to prove that you get the same answer either way. And yeah, and then we have some word problems. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you found this video helpful. I don't want it to be too long. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message. But with that in mind, I will see you next time.